Hey, Jeff Luff here from Alternative Heating and Supplies. Today I wanted to do the video on something that I got a question from. A customer emailed me this morning, and he was a first season user of a wood boiler. And he had the question that during normal heating, where it's 30, 40 degrees, his boiler had no problem keeping up. But during the really cold days of -5, -10, -20, and he's very much in the cold country, his boiler wasn't keeping up. And he was saying that the temperature of the house was losing heat, and the boiler had plenty of wood in it, and he didn't understand why. So I'm going to go over what I think was the problem for that customer. I have responded to him, but he hasn't gotten back to me and try it, obviously. But the reason I did this is that a lot of people have a hard time understanding how to prepare their wood for burning. And there's a couple simple tricks that I've learned over the last 18, 20 years of burning that have simplified my life, and I'm going to pass that to you now. There's basically good and best practices that I call them, and bad. And bad is usually where I get those questions like I did today. So the bad is when people will just, since they're outside burning a wood boiler, they just think they can throw any kind of wood into the boiler. They're absolutely correct, they can. However, if you do that, you might run into problems like this guy where it's -20 degrees and it's not keeping up. On normal days, it's no problem. But what happens is when you don't split your wood for like number one, is that you're not allowing the moisture to leave the wood. And if you have high moisture in your wood, it takes 30% more energy to convert that wood into heat because it's got to vaporize all the moisture in it and then start burning the wood. Problem number one, tarping. People will take a huge pile of wood and tarp it completely over, and it allows the moisture to stay inside and it doesn't let it evaporate. It also will turn black and it will build up mold and stuff like that on it. Really bad thing to do. Stacking piles really tight. So they'll stack piles, make it really tight, and have them stacked up on 3 or 4 deep piles. You want to put space in between them. You want, at least 6 inches in between each one. You want the piles not to be so gloriously stacked and perfected. I see that common because you need good airflow. No sun exposure. I see people again who tarp it completely or put them in the shade, and you're getting airflow, but it's not as good of an airflow because the sun is what pulls the moisture out in the heat in the summer months. Little to no airflow obviously is the problem here with most of that. Now what I do, and most of us can work very easily on the good section. The extreme is the best, but we'll go over the good. Tent tarping. Now what that is where you make a pile of wood, and I'll provide a picture here where you're making like a tent over the pile so that the water is shed off the wood, and that when the wood is seasoning, moisture will come up to the top of the tent and then drip off and then drip down into the ground. Even during the summer months, you'll feel the inside of these tents and they're moist from the wood losing their moisture that's in them. Piling wood in big mounds is a very effective way. I've been watching and learning about this stuff. Hohausen stacking procedures and stuff like that is an excellent way of doing it. But the majority of it is that there's a lot of open air gaps in the piles because they're not stacked tightly, and that most of the water from the heavy rains is still wicked away or splashed away, whatever you would like to say. So loose stacking is also very effective. Again, don't make it perfect. Just throw it together. We're burning this wood quickly. Pallets under the wood. That gets air flow underneath the wood, and the ground, just like if you were to lay on it, the moisture will come right up and into you, and like it does the wood. So you want airflow underneath. Good airflow. And the reason I did this is that the best practices are because they optimize the airflow, sun, and moisture. Now what I have actually done is I actually made a shed, a wood shed. Instead of using a regular roof, I used a greenhouse roof. And what I mean by that is that you can buy 2-ply sheets of clear plastic. That's what greenhouses are made of today. In my shed, which has 4 sides. And what happens is in the summer, that actually shed gets up to 140 degrees when the doors are closed. So literally, moisture is dripping off the roofs in the summer. That's why I have to keep the doors open most of the time, so the moisture gets washed away or blown away. Which is a great way of doing it. Covered sheds is an excellent way. Leave the sides open if you want. Again, there's no moisture hitting it, lots of airflow, really optimal situation. And obviously kiln dry is the same thing, but we're adding heat and we're baking the wood, which obviously is going to lose most of the water content, which gives you the optimal. So going back to that customer this morning, if your stove is not keeping up with its temperatures, okay, there's a simple test trial that you can do. You go to a local grocery store, buy that kiln drying wood, you know, for $5 a bundle or whatever it is. Buy 3 or 4 or 5 of them, throw those in the wood stove. They're going to burn up very quickly and very hot. And if your stove gets up to temperature and everything's running beautifully, then you know very clearly it's the quality of your wood and your moisture and your wood content's not where it needs to be to get that recovery rate of that heat to water to house kind of effect. So what I'm going to go into next is tricks that I've learned, because most of us gather our own wood. And a lot of people don't seem to get this or don't even know about it. And I didn't really know about it until an older gentleman who's been cutting wood most of his life told me this, and it clicked all of a sudden. I was like, absolutely, that makes all the sense in the world. In the fall and the winter, trees are losing moisture. That's why they drop their leaves. They're preparing for winter and a less of a moist-based season. In the spring and summer, they're at their max with water flow. They are the content of the tree is actually with the root and the branches and the trunk is what we use, is about 40 to 50% water. Now what that's doing is it's sucking the water up into the thing, putting out the trees, creating the energy it needs through the sun. Now in the fall, when the trees lose their leaves, the tree is preparing for a low moisture season. So what it does is it sheds the leaf. The moisture also is pulled out of the tree to prepare it for for the winter. If the tree is 50–60% moisture, it could freeze and crack, which obviously it doesn't want to do. It won't survive. So the concept here is that if you're going to be cutting it down in the summer, I'm going to go back to that. Hold that thought. The ideal time to be cutting down a tree is when it's losing its leaves. Cut it down, lay it down. If there's still green leaves on it, let it sit there and let the leaves pull the moisture out of the rest of the tree. In the winter, cut it down, cut it, split it, you're ready to go. In the summer and spring, if you're cutting down your trees in the summer and spring, it's fine. It's more difficult to prepare the wood for seasoning. But if you do cut them down in the spring and summer, what I do is I'll decide the 3 or 4 trees that I want to drop, and then I will let that tree sit there for 3, maybe 4 weeks until all the leaves were green, are now dry. Now I'm ready to cut and split. That will reduce the moisture from 40 to 50% down to 30. And then I've tested it a couple times. It was around 30, give or take a little degree each way. But those leaves will suck that much moisture out of the tree before you prepare it for seasoning, cutting, and splitting. Some of the common problems that I get and get phone calls, which lead me to this solution, are the stove won't get up to temp, even though there's plenty of wood. The house is not getting up to temp, and the stove is losing heat. So instead of it being 180, it's dropping to 140, 150, and the house is still not getting up to temperature. And the house temp drops, and the stove can't keep up. This is also another indication. And I know these sound kind of redundant, but more or less, the stove is not keeping up, and the wood quality is not burning hot enough to get the recovery rate and the heat transfer to the water to your house. Take care of your wood. It burns much more efficiently. You'll burn less wood if it's seasoned well. And again, about 30% less wood than burning green wood. And green wood does work with our boilers. And even pine, hemlock, and spruce work with our boilers too. But I suggest and recommend you mix them in with good seasoned hardwood so it builds up a good coal bed. Burn the pine, hemlock, and spruce. It doesn't really affect us very much. Hope this helped. Enjoy and happy heating. The water from the heavy rains is still whisked away. Edit that. Wicked away or splashed away, whatever you would like to say.